I recently got a request to explain a hadith, so I'm going to explain that hadith real quick because I'm trying to make this video as short as possible. Let me just pull up that hadith real quick. All right, so apparently the YouTube users say they both said the same thing. Different YouTube users. They said, "Assalamu alaikum, brother. Can you please explain a hadith which says the earth has ends?" And somebody else actually gave me the reference for it. He says it says the prophet said the earth has ends. Please respond, brother, as the earth is a spear. All right, let's go to the hadith in question real quick. It's in Sahih Muslim 2889. Okay, so it's authentic because Sahih Muslim is authentic. And all right, let me just go to the relevant part. The relevant part is Allah drew the ends of the world near one another for my sake, and I have seen its eastern and western ends. Well, basically, uh, the issue here is that the issues with the hadith is they're isolated narrations, or they're isolated stories and sayings of the Prophet Muhammad. So what you have to do is, if you have a very liberal reading of the hadith, or if you're just reading the hadith without reading the scholar's understanding of the hadith, then you're doing yourself a disservice. What you have to do is you have to go to the hadith commentaries. You have to go to like people like Imam Nawawi. Imam Nawawi wrote like a big volume commentary on Sahih Muslim. Ibn Hajar wrote a commentary on Sahih Bukhari, etc., etc. So the issues with Sahih Bukhari, Sahih Muslim, Abu Dawud, etc., is they're isolated sayings and stories of not only the Prophet but the companions, etc. So we have to go to external sources to understand the context of those hadith. So the context of this hadith, according to Imam Nawawi's commentary, um, the context of this hadith is the Prophet Muhammad, that Allah showed a vision or a dream to the Prophet Muhammad, either during the Ezra and Miraj, Prophet Muhammad's ascension into the heavens, uh, or the Prophet Muhammad had something called dreams of prophecy. The prophecies the Prophet Muhammad had were dreams or dreams that Allah gave the Prophet Muhammad. There's a hadith in Sahih Bukhari where the Prophet Muhammad said that a dream coming true is one fourth prophecy. So basically, God in Islam gives prophecies to people through dreams. So basically, according to the scholar's understanding, according to Imam Nawawi, etc., uh, the uh, the Prophet Muhammad had a vision or a dream about the ends of the earth and his ummah filling the ends of the earth. It doesn't mean like the earth is like has corners. It means like the whole ummah was towards the east and west, of the earth, because this is Prophet Muhammad's subjective perception of the world. Basically, the Arabs back then just didn't know basic stuff, etc., because the Arabs were considered illiterate according to the Quran and according to the Hadith, etc. They didn't know how the world looked and stuff like that. So basically, the Prophet Muhammad is basically saying that his ummah was spread out in front of him from the east and west of the world. It doesn't mean that the world it has. It doesn't mean that Allah is telling the Prophet Muhammad that the world has edges or corners or ends. It's just like his ummah was spread out from the east to the west. So there was like a line. So there was a line. He saw his ummah as a line, and that's what the Prophet Muhammad is saying. And this is the Prophet Muhammad's dream or vision from Allah. So the hadith is not saying that. The hadith is not saying that the earth has ends as eastern and western points or ends, implying that the world is flat. This was just a this if you read the hadith carefully, hang on. If you read the hadith carefully, it says, "My Lord said, Muhammad, whenever I make a decision, there is none to change it." So basically, Allah or God or Allah is basically talking to the Prophet Muhammad. So how did God talk to the Prophet Muhammad? He talked to him through, the angel Gabriel coming to him, or he talked to him through dreams and visions. Uh, our dreams, et cetera, et cetera. So basically, when or he talked to him during the night ascension into heaven, the Prophet Muhammad's night ascension into heaven. So basically, there's the view of Imam Nawawi, who wrote that commentary, saying that Allah spoke to the Prophet Muhammad or gave Prophet Muhammad a prophecy or a dream, and he saw his ummah spread out from the east and west of the world. There were so his community, the Muslim community was so big that it was from one end to the other. It doesn't mean the world has ends or corners. It means that his community or his ummah was spread out to so he could see them from the east to the west. So basically, this is a dream or a vision or that the Prophet Muhammad had either in the heavens when he went to heavens or when he was on earth. Allah showed Prophet Muhammad a dream or a vision. So basically, when Prophet Muhammad is prophesying, when he's talking about the future, and when he's prophesying, his prophecies came to him through dreams that Allah gave him, as found in Sahih Bukhari. Because remember that Bukhari hadith in Sahih Bukhari, where God shows prophecy to prophets and pious believers through dreams and visions. So that's what I understand. The Quran, the hadith is not saying that the earth has corners or corners or ends to it. Stay tuned. Final videos are coming up.